Okay, I've had a request to read an old folk tale called Stone Soup, first published in 1947 by the author Marcia Brown. And they have a different version over there where we have peasants and they have the Asian version. Three soldiers trudged down a road in a very strange country. They were on their way home from the war. Besides being very tired, they were so hungry. In fact, they hadn't eaten anything for 2 days. "Oh, how I'd like a good dinner tonight," said the first soldier. "Yeah, me too. I'd like a bed to sleep in," said the second one. "Ah, that's all impossible. March on," said the third. So on they marched. Suddenly, ahead of them, they saw a village, and the village had lights. "Oh, we're going to get a bite to eat there," said the first soldier. "And in a bed, maybe a hayloft to sleep in." "Yeah, no harm in asking," said the third. Now the peasants of that place were scared to death of strangers. When they heard that three soldiers were coming down the road, they got together and they whispered among themselves, "Here comes the three soldiers. Oh, what are we going to do? They're always hungry. Yeah, we don't have enough food for ourselves. So what are we going to do?" So they grabbed all the food that they could possibly find and hid it. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in the lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down their well. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins. They hid cabbages and potatoes under their bed. They grabbed their meat and hung it down in the cellar. They hid every piece of food they had to eat. And then they sat back and waited. Well, the soldiers trudged on and came into the village. They stopped at the first house. Paul and Francois lived there. "Good evening to you. Could you please spare a bit of food? We are three hungry soldiers." "Oh, no. We have no food for ourselves. We haven't eaten for 3 days. We're very poor. Harvest hasn't been good. Sorry." So the three soldiers trudged on and they went to the house of Albert and Louise. "Would you spare a bit of food for us? And maybe would you have a corner in your barn for us to sleep?" "No," said Albert. "Oh, no. We gave all we could spare to the last group of soldiers who came through." "Yeah, our beds are full," said Louise. Then they went on to Vincent and Marie's house. The answer was the same. It had been a poor harvest, and all the grain must be kept for seed, so they couldn't help either. And they went to every house in the village, and it was the same story. Not one peasant had any food to give away, and they all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for food. Another had an old sick father that they had to take care of. And another one had too many mouths to feed. So the villagers just went out and stood in the street, and they looked as hungry as they could possibly look. So the three soldiers got together around the tree stump and they talked. And they came up with a plan. Then the first soldier said, "Good people!" The peasants all gathered together. "We are three hungry soldiers, and we are in this strange land of yours. We've asked you for food, and you have none. Well then, we'll have to make stone soup. The peasants just stared. Stone soup? Whoa, we'd like to know all about that. Well, first, we need a great big iron pot. So the peasants ran and they found the largest pot they could find. I mean, how else are you going to cook? Well, it's large, but none too large. But it'll do. Now we need water. We need water to fill the kettle. And then could you build a fire? Well, it took many buckets of water to fill that pot. And they built the fire on the village square, and they waited, and the pot set to boil. And now, if you please, would you gather 3 round, smooth stones? In a hurry, please. Well, that was easy. They were able to find those without any trouble. And the peasants' eyes grew very round as they watched the soldiers just drop the stones into the pot. Now, in order to make soup, we need salt and pepper. And they began to stir, and children ran and they fetched salt and pepper. Stones like these are really special stones. They'll make very good soup. But, no, it would be a whole lot better if we had a few carrots. Oh, I think I have 1 or 2 carrots, said Francois. And she ran off to find her carrots. She came back and she had her apron and it was full of carrots. Those are the ones that she hid behind the wood. So they stirred it. You know, a good stone soup really needs some cabbage, said the soldiers as they were slicing the carrots and putting them into the pot. But there's no use in asking for that because you people don't have any food. Oh, I could find cabbage. I really could, said Marie. And she hurried. Back she came and she had 3 cabbages that she just happened to find up in her cupboard. So they stirred it a little bit more. Oh, if only we had just a bit of beef and maybe a few potatoes. This soup would be good enough for the rich man's table. Wow, peasants thought that one over. And they knew they had potatoes and beef hanging in their cellars. So they ran to get them. I mean, a rich man's soup? All from 3 stones? Whoa, it's magic. Aha! Sighed the soldiers as they stirred in the beef and the potatoes. Oh, I just wish we had just a little bit of barley and maybe a cup of milk. That would really do well in this. And then, the soup, it would be really good for the king himself. Indeed, he asked for just such a soup last time we dined with him. The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king? Oh, well. But the soldiers said, never mind, I know you don't have it. No sense in asking what you don't have. The peasants ran. They brought their barley from the lofts. They brought their milk from the wells. And the soldiers just put a little smile and they put it into the steaming broth and they stirred it away and the peasants just stared at it. At last, it's ready! All of you shall have a taste. But we need a table. And we need the table set. Great tables were placed in the square, and all around the tables they placed lighted torches. Such a soup! How good it smelled! Yes, truly, truly fit for a king. The Then the peasants asked themselves, "No, would not such a soup require bread? I mean, in a roast? And shouldn't we have cider to drink?" Well, soon a banquet was spread, and everyone in the village was able to sit down to eat and join the soldiers. Never had there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such delicious soup. And made from stones? They ate and they drank, and they ate and they drank, and then they were so happy they got up and they danced. And they danced and danced far into the night. It was getting late, and at last they were getting tired. Then the three soldiers said, "Is there not a loft where we could maybe sleep tonight?" Let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft? Oh, indeed, they must have the best beds that we have in this village. So, the first soldier slept in the priest's house. The second soldier slept in the baker's house. And the third soldier, he slept in the mayor's house. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the square to give them a big send-off and a banquet. "Many, many thanks for what you have taught us," the peasants said. "Now we will never, ever go hungry again, because we know how to make soup from stones." The soldiers turned and waved and said, "Oh, it's all a knowing how to do it." And off they trudged down the road to bid goodbye. Such men don't grow on every bush.